What's up, guys? This is Ray, and I hope you guys have been keeping well. It's been a minute. I think the last video I've uploaded on the channel was about 5 months ago. But I hope, regardless of my inactivity on this channel, I hope you all have been doing well despite the craziness that has been the past year and is still going on. But anyways, just to give you guys a little update. Yeah, I had to take a little break because real life caught up. I'll get probably into it in a separate video, but overall, I just want to let you guys know that I'm still here and I'm still down to be making content, talking about Japanese movies every chance that I get. And I hope to jumpstart that, getting back on the content train starting from today. And, I'm going to start not by, as you guys can probably tell by the title of this video, this is not going to be a movie review, but something I've always wanted to do. So I'm going to start doing it now. And so what I'm going to be doing is discussing notable theatrical releases of Japanese movies that's going to be coming out in February 2021. Now, these are just movies that I found just browsing the websites of 3 or 4 major movie theater chains here in Japan, mostly in Tokyo, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of small indie theaters that are going to be playing some stuff that as of the filming of this video, haven't caught wind of yet. And so, if any of those do surface, I definitely do want to go and check them out. Now, these aren't, this is a list of 10 movies that are coming out in February 2021, but these are in no order as far as like how much I want to see them. These are just in chronological order. I'm going to start from the top of the month, make my way all the way to the end. And one more thing, I apologize for my low volume of my voice because it's the middle of the night, and this is pretty much going to be the only time frame I'll be able to record because my family's asleep. I don't want to wake anyone up, and so I got to keep my voice down a little bit just so everyone can get a good night's sleep. Anyways, yes, enough of the chit chat. Let's get on with the video. Here are some movies that are coming out in February 2021 in the movie theaters here in Japan. So we're going to start out with Friday, February 5th. And these movies, as looking through all the websites, I think these are the only 3 movies that are coming out on this particular day. But, February 5th, first let's start out with the Cinderella Addiction. The Cinderella Addiction is a suspense thriller directed by Watanabe Ryohei, and it's starring Tsuchiya Tao and Tanaka Kei. Now here's a brief synopsis. Forgive me if I'm looking straight at my notes just because these are 10 movies that I haven't really memorized the whole story, but here we go. It's about this girl named Koharu. And she seems to be down on her luck, but she rescues this Dr. Daigo from getting run over by a train. And her life turns into a bit of a Cinderella story because her saving Dr. Daigo's life turns into a marriage, and then she becomes not only able to live in a life of kind of Cinderella level luxury, but also she becomes a stepmom to Dr. Daigo's little daughter. Now, Koharu's Cinderella life seems to be happy and all, but further down the road, once we get after that happily ever after, we get to find out that the Cinderella life isn't all exactly what it's hyped up to be. And so she comes across a lot of trouble, a lot of torment from within her new husband's family, and even from deep within herself. And from what it seems like, as we get to know Koharu a little more, we get to see that there's something more dark beneath her surface. So that sounds like a fun movie. I'm all about thrillers. I love suspense thrillers, so this seems like a fun movie to watch. So on to the next February 5th movie. We have Horimiya, which is probably a movie I am not going to check out just because it's a live action adaptation of a girl's manga, if I'm not mistaken. Seems like a romantic comedy or a romantic drama. The kind of stuff I wouldn't exactly spend my money on in the theaters. I might rent it out on DVD at one point or watch on Netflix, but I wouldn't spend money on it. But anyways, it's directed by Matsumoto Kana, and it stars Suzuka Oji and Kubota Sayu. And these 2 actors, I don't think I've seen in any movies. I think they're still young, up and coming, just budding talents, or still trying to make a name for themselves, or they're idols. I don't really know, to be honest, but here is the synopsis, because I'm pretty sure there are some fans of the manga who are looking forward to this live action adaptation, so forgive me for not sounding as enthusiastic as you may be, but here's a synopsis of what I can gather from the trailer. It's about, a guy and a girl. The girl's name is Hori, and she's the popular girl. And then we have Miyamura, who's kind of like the dark and brooding boy. And so they're from total opposite worlds, but then they come together and start becoming closer due to, I guess, a secret or something that they have in common. But they come close, they become closer, and probably later in the road, there's some kind of romance or deeper relationship that forms through this bonds, as what you can probably expect from a live action adaptation of a girl's manga. All right, next on our list on February 5th is a movie I probably will spend money on just to see how bad it is. And the name of the movie is Suicide Forest Village. And it's a horror film directed by Shimizu Takashi, the director of The Grudge. And also, I just want to let you guys know this is a follow-up to The Howling Village. It came out, when was it? It's been a while, 2 years ago, I want to say. I know I watched it way back before the pandemic, but anyway, it stars Yamada Anna, who you guys might have seen in Liverleaf, and also Yamaguchi Mayu. And the reason why this is a follow-up to The Howling Village is because, one, they share the same director. Two, they're inspired by urban legends based off of real places. Like Howling Village was actually inspired by a real tunnel that I don't know if you can actually visit, because there are legends and urban legends connected to the place depicted in that movie, and that goes the same here. The forest that's in the Suicide Forest Village. You remember that Logan Paul story that was big news years back, how we visited the Suicide Forest near Mount Fuji and they found a body? Yeah, this movie takes place in that forest. The forest is by the name of Aokigahara. It's near Mount Fuji. And apparently anyone who goes into the woods, usually people go into these woods for one purpose in mind, and that is to off themselves, basically, just to keep it nicely. But this movie adds a supernatural horror twist to everything, so that maybe, adds a bit of that little bit of suspense, like maybe there's more to the story than what the news is actually letting on. And, if you watch The Howling Village, it's okay. I'll review it at a later date once I get my content train rolling again. It was okay. It wasn't Shimizu Takashi in his best form. It was serviceable. It had its moments, and I thought it was interesting. The premise was definitely the most interesting part, and so I don't expect this movie to be the scariest movie that Shimizu is gonna ever release, but I still want to be entertained by it just a little bit. And the fact that it's continuing off this trend of real life places inspiring these stories, it's interesting to me. So next we're going to go on to February 11th. And this movie, I'm actually looking forward to. I guess it's been making rounds at some movie festivals, and just watching the trailer, it looks really, really intriguing. And it's called Under the Open Sky. It's a drama. It's directed by Nishikawa Mina, and it stars Yakusho Koji, and even has Nagasawa Masami in it. Now, Under the Open Sky, it's about this dude by the name of Mikami. Now, he is a former inmate who spent 13 years in prison for murder. And he gets out, and he has the hardest time trying to adapt with the world that has advanced far ahead of him, while he was away for 13 years. And he's having the hardest time. He's struggling. I think he finds a job, but either way, he just struggles just to keep up with this modern society. But he wants to, do his best. He wants to be an abiding citizen once again. And at the same time, I think he meets these folks who want to make either a movie or a documentary about his life story, and just to kind of document his struggles, trying to readapt to the modern world. And I think the main reason I want to watch this movie, because the concept is good, is probably going to be very tear-inducing. I haven't read any of the reviews on it because I would definitely want to be surprised. But also Yakusho Koji, anything with Yakusho Koji, I think there's going to be something to enjoy about it. The next movie, still, we're at February 11th, and this movie is called First Love. This movie has nothing to do with the Mike Takashi masterpiece or the entertaining piece of work that he pulled out a few years ago, First Love. That the Japanese title of that is Hatsukoi. So this one, the Japanese movie, is First Love. So, technically, although they have the same meaning, they're different titles, but they have nothing to do with each other. Anyways, this movie is a thriller and even kind of has some courtroom drama in it as well. It's based off of a novel. And the author of the novel, the name escapes me right now, but she wrote, if you ever seen the live action adaptations for Red or Narataji, those kinds of dramatic films, this First Love is an adaptation of a work by that same author. And this movie is directed by Tsutsumi Yukihiko, who I've seen plenty of his movies. He's a fantastic director. A lot of entertaining work under his belt, including like 20th Century Boys and Beck, the live action adaptation of Beck, and The House Where the Mermaid Sleeps. I've enjoyed all those movies. And this movie stars Kitagawa Keiko, who I'm not a really big fan with, but I am a fan of Yoshine Kyoko, who's her co-star in this. Now, the story of First Love, it's about Yuki, played by Kitagawa Keiko. She's a psychologist who's tasked with meeting with this girl by the name of Kana. And Kana is charged with stabbing her father in the chest with a knife, or nobody knows why. But anyways, Yuki is tasked with interviewing Kana, and to get to the bottom of it, and also to write a book or something, write some kind of documentation on her findings with these interviews. Now, as these interviews go along, we learn a lot more about Yuki and her past, and that her past, these interviews kind of awaken deeply buried secrets or memories from Yuki's past, and that's where a lot of the mystery comes out of it. So how are these two connected? And then here's this young girl who's charged with murder, and here's this other woman who's trying to get into her mind, but somehow they're connected in a way. And that's what's intriguing about the premise of the story. Next, we're going to go fast forward to February 19th, and the movie starting us off is called In Those Days. And I'm actually pretty interested in this movie because I think it's the movie I would enjoy. It's based off of an autobiographical essay or comic of some sort. It's a comedy drama directed by Imaizumi Rikiya and stars Matsuzaka Tori, who I absolutely love. And so the story, it's about this dude by the name of Mikito, who's a loser and otaku, but falls in love with Matsura Aya, who was a huge J-pop idol back in the day. So you can kind of see that this is partly a historical a period piece, if you will, Anyways, he falls head over heels with this idol, this J-pop idol, Matsura Aya, who's played by another actress in this movie, mind you. But anyways, he attends her concerts, becomes close friends with other dudes he's met at this concert, and they just become homies. They start hanging out, going to concerts, and just they spend all their days together, spend their youths together. I think I'm not sure how much of the film is going to take place during these guys' youthful days, but I know a good portion of it is going to take place in modern times, where they're going to be looking back on these memories, and all those times they just reminisce about their fanboy times. It's kind of like, I think anyone who's my age, we've had our moments with our homies back in the day when we just geek out over the stupidest stuff, or not even the stupidest stuff, just fun things back then that we just enjoy. This is one of those movies that you can probably, if you've ever been a fan of something in your youth and you had friends to share with, that you can go back and reminisce about it. I think this movie seems like it'll hit a lot of those notes. And I think this movie is going to appeal big to any fan of Hello Project. So Matsura Aya was part of that, Morning Musume, all those J-pop idols back in the day. If you're a Hello Project fan, I think this is probably targeted to you. Next up, also coming out in February 19th, is a movie I am not going to watch because it's another live action adaptation of a girl's manga. And this movie is called Liar Liar. Now, it looks like a romantic comedy of sorts, as one is usually if they're a girl's comic or romantic drama, what have you. It's directed by Yakumo Saiji, and it stars Matsumura Hokuto and Mori Nana. I don't think I've seen either of these performers' movies. Anyway, here is the synopsis. It's about Minato, who is a normal, average, everyday university student, and she has a stepbrother by the name of Toru, who's kind of like the typical cool, asshole playboy type of dude, and they absolutely hate each other. They're out there, opposite ends of the spectrum. And he even tells her, you should fix yourself up, put some makeup on, because you should look like a mess, right? And it's that level of not sibling rivalry, but they just don't like each other. They're, step siblings, right? But anyways, one day Minato dresses up as a high school girl and meets Toru, saying that, she's a high school girl. Toru doesn't recognize her at all. And what happens next is Toru falls in love at first sight we're just gonna call her high school Minato. I don't know I don't know what she's calling herself as a high schooler. Don't really care, to be honest. But anyways, they start dating, I think. Anyways, he's in love with her. But then as the story goes on, or at least the way the trailer makes it sounds like, is that it seems like maybe Toru might actually have feelings for his stepsister Minato, like genuine feelings. So it's kind of a love triangle. It's one of those kinds of stories. Next is a movie I'll probably spend money to watch just because I like to throw my money at this franchise no matter how good or more likely bad these movies are. But it's the Super Sentai Movie Rangers 2021 triple feature, if you will. Usually, I'm a big fan of Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, any type of tokusatsu. I think Ultraman's the only tokusatsu work I don't really follow actively. But usually, one thing that they often do to make extra money is they have a crossover between the current team and the previous team, because the teams shuffle every year. But this time, because of COVID, there's no crossover, so this is going to be a triple feature of three separate Sentai teams. You have the previous team, Ryu Soldier, in their own movie. You have the current team, Kira Major, in their own movie, and then you have the next team, Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, in their own movie. So they're going to make their debut in their own little mini movie, which seems kind of cool. And you can expect the usual type of Super Sentai fare. The story's not going to be too deep. It's just they're going to be about the heroes discovering friendship and saving the world. But what interests me about the Zenkaiger movie, at least, is that if you look at the trailer, they're surrounded by all the Red Rangers from the past. So, because Zenkaiger is going to be the anniversary piece, and they are by far the funkiest, just from a design point of view, the funkiest looking Sentai to have come out in a long time. And because of that, I am quite interested in keeping up with Zenkaiger. All right, here we go. So on February 20th, this movie called Peaceful Death is coming out. Now, as much as the English title makes it sound like, it is not a horror movie. It's actually a tearjerker drama. It's based off a novel, looks like a couple of novels, maybe. Anyways, it's directed by Takahashi Banmei, and it stars Emoto Tasuku. And it's a medical drama, I want to add to that. So, Peaceful Death. It's about Dr. Kawada, who is a doctor who specializes in providing home care. And he abides by the family of a dying patient. And they want him to live the rest of his life with the least amount of pain as possible at home, away from the hospital. But something happens and this patient ends up dying with a lot of pain. And this this really affects Dr. Kawada. So he seeks mentorship under from a veteran doctor who actually does most of his work at the hospital. And so he, under his tutelage, he kind of reevaluates what it means to be a doctor. And then so here, a few years later, he's given the charge of another patient who has lung cancer, and that's where his lessons that he's acquired over the past few years are going to be put to the test. Now, I'm not one for medical dramas just because they're meant to be tearjerkers, so I mean, I like tearjerker dramas. You know, they don't bother me so much. I spend my money on some at the theaters, but this is probably going to be a movie that I just wait for the DVD for, maybe just rent it or even watch it on Netflix whenever it comes out over here. And the last movie I'm going to talk about comes out on February 26th. It's called Aristocrats. It looks like to be it's a drama. Well, seems like a coming of age drama, although it's not about anyone in their school days. It's about these women discovering themselves, discovering who they are. Anyway, it's directed by Sode Yukiko and stars Kadowaki Mugi and Mizuhara Kiko, two actresses who I think are fairly talented, especially Kadowaki Mugi. I've seen a few of her works, like what's it called, Love Whirlpool. I think that's what, I forget what the English title is called. Mizuhara Kiko, you know, she's okay. I mean, she's been in a few roles. You know, she was in the Attack on Titan live action. She's been in Norwegian Wood. Is that the English name? The adaptation of the Murakami novel. She was okay in that movie. You know, she's an all right actress. You know, not my first choice when it comes to super talented actresses in Japanese cinema. But the synopsis of this movie is, it's about Hanako, who's played by Kadowaki. And she's like a caged bird living in Tokyo, and she's made to believe that that marriage equals happiness. So she goes and tries to attempt all these arranged marriages. They all fail. You know, she gets turned down left and right until she finally meets a dude, like a lawyer, who, you know, I think they're about to hit it off. They're about to get married, and through the same guy, through him, she meets Miki, who moves in from the countryside into Tokyo. And she comes into Tokyo without really any goals. She, you know, without really any kind of aspirations. She just kind of wants to, it seems like she just wants a change of scenery. Anyway, these two women meet each other, and their meeting kind of opens up each other's worlds and makes them see that their worlds are actually much larger than anything they've ever believed that they had up until that point. So there you have it. You know, out of all the 10 movies I've mentioned, I think the movies I'm looking forward to the most are, you know, definitely Under the Open Sky. I think that's probably the movie I'm looking forward to the most. And I think after that, probably going to be Cinderella Addiction, just because it seems like an interesting premise. You know, I liked Shatao and I like Tanaka K. Tanaka K is usually one of those actors who plays perfectly. The guy who just gets caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know, to comedic effect. But it seems like this is more of a dramatic role for him, so I'm interested to see that. And I think beyond that, the other movie I'm looking forward to is Suicide Forest Village, and it's probably not for any good reason. I just want to see how bad it's going to turn out, because I love bad horror movies, and you know, I just like horror movies in general. I'll check it out in the theaters. So yes, those are a list of movies that are coming out in February of 2021. Which movie or movies are you guys looking forward to the most? Please leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know. And also, if in any of these movies I talked about, if I sound like I wasn't looking forward to it, if you want to convince me to look forward to these movies, by all means, let me know what you guys think, because I only just read the synopses and see the trailers, you know, and just from my general taste of movies that I come to like already, yeah, I kind of prejudge things at a time, but feel free to talk. Let's just talk about movies. And if you are looking forward to any of these movies I'm putting down in this video, by all means, let me know too. But yeah, that's about it for me, guys. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I promise it'll be soon. Take it easy.